Hello everyone, welcome to Vguru. Now, let us have a short summary about the excretion. Excretion is removal of the waste products from the body. It can be anything, so which is toxic or which is not necessary for the body, those will be excreted out, removed out. So, in the further discussion, we have talked about the excretory system in human beings. It is carried by the excretory system. And what are the components of excretory system? The kidneys. So, they are a pair of kidneys. Next, the ureter. So, that is a pair of ureter. Next, a urinary bladder. There is one urinary bladder and one urethra. So, all together forms the excretory system in human beings. So, kidneys. Kidneys are bean shaped and reddish brown in color, and we have two kidneys. Okay. So, the kidneys is having a section called the darker section. In the internal structure of the kidney is having a darker area called cortex and a paler region called medulla. And there is a area called hilum. So, from this hilum, three tubes are emerging out. One is renal artery, the second is renal vein, and next is ureter. So, this is the internal structure of the kidney. Next, the functional unit of a kidney is nephron. So, we have studied the internal structure of a nephron. So, what is the structure in nephron? There are two major structures, that is Malpighian body and next is the renal tube. The Malpighian body is having three different structures in it. One is Bowman's capsule and next is efferent arteriole and the third is glomerulus. And in the renal tube, we have proximal convoluted tube and distal convoluted tube and loop of Henle. So, this is the structure of the nephron. So, we also discussed about the steps in the purification of the blood, that is the mechanism in urine formation. The first stage in that is glomerulus filtration and the second stage is tubular reabsorption and the third stage is tubular secretion and the fourth stage is formation of concentrated urine. So, when the blood is being flown into the renal arteriole, it enters into the efferent arteriole and goes into the glomerulus, and under the high pressure over there, the waste products are being removed and the filtration happens, and the filtrate, we call it as the primary urine. This primary urine is similar in composition with the blood except for the blood cells. Now, this primary urine passes into the renal tube. In renal tube, there is the cellular reabsorption. This primary urine is having the waste products plus the water plus some useful substances. So, this primary urine passes into the renal tube. Whatever the useful substances are there, they are absorbed from the peripheral or these peritubular structures from the efferent arteriole, and they absorbs the material. This is the second stage of filtration. Next, whatever the substance still present in the primary urine which was not filtered, they were again sent back into the renal tube from the peritubular linings. So, the secretion also happens. Next, this further concentrated urine passes into the loop of Henle. So, here itself all the absorption and secretion happens. From there, the concentrated urine passes into the collecting tube. In collecting tube, what happens? It reacts with the vasopressin and further concentrated into the urine. That final concentrated urine passes into, forms into the other structures called pyramids and calces. From there, it enters into the pelvis of the kidney. From there, it enters into the ureter. From ureter, it passes into the urinary bladder. So, from urinary bladder, it acts as a storage unit in the urinary bladder. From urinary bladder, it will be excreted out through urethra. Urethra is again surrounded by ring of muscles or sphincters. The upper and lower sphincters are having different functions. So, when the urine passes into the urinary bladder, the bladder expands, stretches. Later, this stretching triggers a reaction, that is reflex reaction, and releases the upper sphincters. But still the lower sphincter is still contracted, so the opening is still closed. So, the lower sphincter is under the control of the brain. So, whenever you urge to urinate, then itself with the help of your brain signals, you can relax the lower sphincter muscles and you can do the minctuition. So, this is the whole process. And how much of urine is stored in the urinary bladder? The capacity is around 300 ml to 800 ml. And next, we have discussed about the excretory system in the body. Apart from the body, that is kidneys, there are other structures in the same body which excretes different other materials. For example, lungs. Lungs will be excreting the carbon dioxide. So, it is the waste product in our body. So, it will be excreted out. It will be sent out. So, lungs acts as a excretory system or purifying units for the air. Next comes the liver.
To learn with Vguru, join us, download our app in Play Store. Have a happy learning.